Like I said before, popping one balloon isn't much of a game. So we want to add lots and lots more. And one simple way to get lots of balloon is just to right click on the balloon sprite and duplicate. However, that's only okay if you want to create just a few. Or what if you want to create 20? What if you want to create 100? We now you keep doing duplicate, duplicate, duplicate. No, that would not work. A better way of creating lots of balloons is to clone the balloon sprite. I'm going to show you what I mean by that, so I want you to pay very close attention. The first thing we want to do is to separate this code here. So this from this show, I want you to separate it from the other block of code. Have you separated it? Yes, if you separated it, great job. Now click on control. Okay, click on control. You're going to see when I start as a clone. So that's where you're going to drag to the top of this previous code. Okay, when I start as a clone, so that's where you're going to drag to the top, all right, of the show. First thing I first is separate this away from this show, and then go to controls and bring in when I start as a clone. So when I start as a clone, you should show and continue the whole process. And how do we now create clones? Now go back to this your when flag clicked. So when flag clicked, set score to 0. Then we want it to hide. Okay, so let's look for hide. Go to looks, bring in hide. Okay, and then we want to create a clone. I want to create about 20 clones. So what happens if you want to do an action repeatedly? You use a forever loop or a repeat loop. Right now what we need is a repeat loop. So we're going to go to controls and bring in our repeat loop. Okay, we're going to bring in our repeat loop here and we're going to set it at 20. Once you've been able to do that, then we want to look for a code that will let us create a clone of ourselves. Still under control, you will see there, create a clone of myself, right? So when flag click, set score to 0, you hide it first, then you create a clone, right, 20 times. You create a clone of yourself 20 times. So once you've been able to do that, the next thing you want to do is to go back to this other sprite that says when this sprite is clicked, okay, because there are several clones, like this singular hide would not work for it anymore because this one was talking about just one balloon, okay, one balloon. So we're going to remove this single hide, we're going to just drag it back and delete it, and we're going to look for delete this clone. So when I pop, instead of hiding, what you're going to do is to pop it and then delete the clone away from the code. So let's go back to the first, we separated this and then we brought in a when I started the clone. The next thing we did was to bring in hide, and then we created a repeat loop that would create a clone of this balloon for us 20 times. And we now went down to when this sprite is clicked, like our popping flow, and instead of hide, we put in delete this clone. Now let's test our project now when the flag is clicked and see if your main balloon sprite will hide and then the clone would come out 20 times. So let's start this, okay? So we see that we now have 20 balloons here bouncing around. So with each of when each of these 20 clones is started, they would each bounce around the screen randomly, just like you have seen before. So if you pop, let's say we can pop this 20 balloons. And as you pop, you see that your screen is what? Your score is increasing. See that your score is increasing. Okay, I have a score of 20. So how many of you also have a score of 20? So if you are not like getting it or you missed something along the way, you can just go backwards in the video and like watch it again. All right, so let me know if you have gotten to this point.